Hi, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to have a look at these Arrtx 84 coloured pencils. These are the new 5mm core on the Arrtx pencils. Now they did come wrapped in plastic. I've just taken all of that off. So you can see here the 5mm soft cores, richly saturated pigments, wide range of colours, break resistant, easy to blend, and there's our digital swatch there. So let's open them up. Very cool illustration there on the cover. We've got a piece of foam and very nicely presented Arrtx sheet of paper. I have opened the lid before, and this was also in there, their usual thank you card, which I think is really nice. And then we have the first tray of these new pencils and another piece of foam and Arrtx paper. So very nicely presented, and a second tray which you can take out there. I will say there is a smell to this box. I don't know if it's a plastic or the actual trays themselves, and I found this on the acrylic markers as well. I had to just put them outside in where there was fresh air for a while, so not in a room where there was good airflow, and the smell went away after a couple of days. So I have opened this and sharpened a couple already, so just so you can see what the core looked like before sharpening, and this is after. So this is a new 5mm core. You can see it's quite thick there, and they've got bows as decoration there, which is very cute, with the number and then the name of the colour, and then on the other side it has Arrtx, a little bow and colour pencil there. So they do sharpen very nicely. They come to a really nice point. And this is a yellow, canary yellow, that I've sharpened, and I have one more that I've already sharpened. And they sharpen really nicely, which is magenta. Now, the other pencil that I know that has a 5mm core is one of these, which is a Derwent drawing pencil. These, I really like these. I like the feel of the pencil, and I like the weight of it, as well as how thick the barrel is. These ones are close to the same thickness, but not quite as thick as the Derwent, but they both have that same nice heaviness about them. I think if these are meant to be like a budget alternative for these, then you're getting the same size core, but the barrel width is obviously a little bit thinner. And then we have our Prismacolor, which when these first came out with the, I think it's a 3.8mm core, they were like a dupe or an alternative to Prismacolors, and you can see the difference between these here. So these ones have really nice paint job on them, nice details, they sharpen well, they have the nice dipped end. And the Prismacolors, now this isn't even a year old, it's probably about 6 months. I bought a 72 set on sale, and this hasn't been dropped or anything, but I've got a crack already down the barrel, and the paint's starting to come off. And these mostly sharpen well, but not always, but you can see it's not a completely centered core there. And I know the build quality is an issue with these, but everyone likes the performance. So what I'd like to do is we are going to have a look at how these perform. Now I've had to film this a second time because I lost my recording, so I'm going to do this again for you so that you can have a look at the layering and blending, the tone gradient, etc. I bought these on AliExpress. only about 2 weeks ago. They took about 2 weeks to arrive, and they're on sale for about $64. So that's about $1.80 per pencil. Oh, sorry, not $1.80, about 80 cents per pencil, which is a really good price for 84 pencils. Let's see how they perform. So we're going to take our cerulean blue and put a layer of colour across our squares. These sharpen really nicely. They keep their point quite well, and you don't feel like it's going to crumble, which is what you would want from your pencils. Although with Prismacolor, sometimes you find that they can get a little bit crumbly, depending on obviously how sharp you sharpen them. Did I do 5 there? Oh well, that might get an extra one. But these ones, they don't have that feel. Now with this, we're just trying to see how many layers can we put down before we start to get a wax build up and the pencil starts to just skate across the surface. This is just cheap copying paper. You can see it's done quite a good job. If I put down some more pressure here on this 10th square and just keep adding some layers, I can start to feel a little bit of slipperiness, but not too much. And if I push that even more, putting red, the magenta goes down nicely on it. What's that now? 11, 12. But I can start to feel a little bit of resistance there. So that's probably about 12 to 14 layers. So that's not too bad. And these aren't really thick, so we're not talking about thick layers, but you can see that you can get a nice light sort of tone up to dark. Now we're going to do some toning, and we're going to do dark to light. So I'm just going to start by putting, hopefully I'm not shaking the desk too much, just a layer of tone there, and just build up the dark areas. We've kind of already done this above, but I just want to see how smooth a tone we can get, and also like with that light, you can see you can get fairly light. I will try this with the Prismacolor underneath and with a Derwent drawing, because they're the two pencils that these are meant to compete with, but at a more price-friendly point. So you can get a nice dark to light. If I really wanted, I could go a lot darker. There we go, we'll keep that around there. Next, what we're going to do is a gradient. So I'm going to try this magenta, and I'm going to sweep in from this side and just make sure the center I'm not as dark, so we can see the color mix in the center. I'll bring another color from the left hand side. These lay down really nicely. They're soft, they're smooth, there's no chalkiness, no bits of grit or anything like that. How pigmented they are, that will be interesting to see. Okay, now let's bring the cerulean blue from the other side. These do have a nice weight to them. I like a heavier pencil. They feel a lot nicer in the hand than the Prismacolors. I like a nice wide barrel pencil and with a bit of weight. Prismacolors feel small and thin and sometimes almost like they could snap. Okay, we're getting a nice mix starting to come up here with our 2-color gradient. So a nice purple appearing there. And it hasn't taken too much to get that. And if we wanted, we could keep going with this until we get to the stage where we burnish. I prefer not to do that. I like to see the pencil texture when I draw, or using this to add, using pencils to add colour is what I'm trying to say, rather than burnish. All right, let's try a blender. I'm going to take this blue and I'm going to move you up so you can see. And we're going to add a yellow from the other side. Okay, I think this is like 3rd time's a charm. This is the 3rd time I've tried to film this segment because my phone keeps dropping out. But anyway, so we're on to the blender here. I've just used the Caran d'Ache blender to mix those 2 colours together. Over this side here, I have done some blending on, this is just a small pad of Clairefontaine mixed media paper, and this is 250 gram. So I have on here the Arrtx, a couple of different colours, the Prisma, which you can see is waxier, so this seems to have less wax, but the Prismacolor is more pigmented, and this is a Derwent drawing. And you can also see this on the black paper. So this is the Arrtx here, and this is a Prisma. So the Prisma are more pigmented on the black paper. But let's finish our test. We have the smudge and the erasability test to go on here. So I'm going to grab the blue, and we're just going to put down a little bit of colour. I'm going to put down 2 areas. So we'll use a blending stump. And just with my finger, you can see there's a little bit of pigment that's dragged down. Now that's neither good or bad. You can choose to use that technique. Some people use that when they want to blend colours together or create a soft edge, but usually we use a blending stump. So I'll use this one here. So you can see that works quite well. And the last one is the erasability, which I'm going to grab the magenta. Try some light and something a bit darker. Okay, and this is just a Japanese eraser I've got. I think I got this in a box of some kind. That doesn't erase too bad. I mean, it's coloured pencil, so I don't expect it to erase completely. And this is just with a Tombow mono eraser, which is useful for taking out small sections. So you can see that there. Okay, so that's our test. I think if we were going to give it some points, like the build quality is really nice. They're nicely presented. I'm going to take points off because of the smell. I've had to have that sitting out near an open door to get rid of the smell because it was me. I'm quite sensitive to smell, but there is a smell which I think is coming from this plastic or whatever it is. But after that airs out, that should be fine. I like the weight of it. I do like the core. The core's nice and it's not fragile. It's nice and stable, and I like that. So you can colour and you don't have to worry about it crumbling or anything like that. Okay, so that's all the colours swatched out. So this is just in a colour chart swatch book. I'll show you so I can see all the colours. With the white and the metallics, I put a little bit of black pen down so you could see how opaque they were. The white was fairly crumbly and it actually isn't that strong of a white, and the same with the silver. The metallic gold, however, that came up really nicely, I thought, and it wasn't as crumbly as the silver. On this first page, I noted two colours, light peach and the sunburst yellow, which were a little bit scratchy. The rest were all fine in the laydown. And then on this page, there were two. There was the wisteria and the pale green that was scratchy. I did sharpen all the pencils, and it could be just the pencils I have, or maybe they need another sharpen, I don't know. But they were all sharpened, just so you can see. So you can see the tips all sharpened. It's a nice array of colours there. And then we finish here with our greys and browns, and on here it was the 20% warm grey that was a little bit scratchy. So with these pencils, you get a nice array of colours. You've got a nice range of yellows. You've got some lights to some nice yellow reds, I should say, yellow oranges, some ochres, a few pastel blues. You've got your turquoises and aquas. Nice range of colours for 84 with some pastels and mids and a few darks. Some nice range of greens there. So nothing to complain about there. Just to note, there are a couple of scratchy pencils, and it could be the ones that I got, or it could be that pencil, not sure. With the sharpening, there was one that didn't sharpen too well. You can see this ginger root one, which the sharpener sort of burred over and the wood didn't sharpen nicely. So I got a lot of the core showing there. And there are a couple that, there was another one as well that came up a little bit similar, but the rest all sharpened the same. Okay, so we're back after swatching. I did sharpen all of these pencils, so they're all ready to go, and completed the swatches in this colour chart swatch book, which I bought on Amazon. And there are a couple of scratchy ones, nothing too bad, but the sunburst yellow, the light peach and a little bit of the peach there, the wisteria and the pale green, and the 20% warm grey on this page. The rest of them all went down really well, and when I say scratchy, you could tell the difference. It wasn't as smooth when it went down. The white in the set is not very opaque, and neither is the silver. In fact, both of those were a little bit crumbly, not too many crumbs, but a lot more crumbs than the other colours. The metallic gold I thought did quite well, even on the black there. There's a nice array of colours. You've got your pastels in the pack, you've got some light yellows going into your yellow oranges and ochres. Same with the blues, lights, mids, and a couple of darks with turquoises and aquas. Your peaches, oranges, you've got a nice array of reds and purples. I was kind of hoping for a darker purple in there somewhere, but it's an 84 set and it's a budget set as well. And then we've got some nice greens and then your browns. So nothing to complain about there. Final thoughts, they're a nice budget set. So if you want a nice budget set that performs well, so these do perform well with blending, with the amount of layers, using a blender, and with the price being around 80 cents each, I think they're good value for money there, and would be good to use in sketchbook or colouring book. So I hope you enjoyed the review, and I will see you in the next video.